Good morning and welcome everyone. Thank you for joining us today for Coffee Chat with our mystery guest. I'm Diane Baribeau, otherwise known as Di, and I'm the Executive Director here at the Opera House, and I want to thank you for joining us. We're sitting in our third floor overture room, and joining me today are the Bergamot, Jillian and Nathaniel, who are, what do I want to call it, social distancing? Out of Pleasant Valley, California right now, normally from New York. So they've been around quite a bit during this stay at home, but they're not staying at home. They're traveling all over the place and staying in places and doing music, which is great. We need that. So welcome you two. And
thank you.
It's nice to have you guys. We met December of 2019. City Opera House had them here to do a holiday show for us. They've been in Traverse City quite a few times, and they've got quite a connection going here. They do some private events. They performed at the Traverse City Film Festival. Is that correct?
Yeah.
And why don't you tell us a little bit about what your connection is to Traverse City?
Yeah, so in 2012, we were touring a lot. We were considering moving to New York City at that time, so we were getting on the festival circuit before we headed out east. And everyone kept saying, you know, Traverse City is really cool. They have this awesome festival. It's a film fest. They also have musicians. Why don't you guys submit? So we submitted and then got accepted and played a bunch of the different shows and in the open space there that year, and totally fell in love with Traverse City. We were huge fans of the people, the water. I don't think I've ever seen that clear and beautiful water before. And so we kept coming up as much as we could, performing there, then started performing at different venues and concerts, and always had our sights set on the City Opera House. So when we got to perform there in December, it was pretty magical.
It's a nice treat to have downtown. It's a pretty spectacular place. The acoustics are great. So you're a husband and wife duo. How did you meet? And how long before you started going out on the road?
Yeah. So we met in South Bend, Indiana. We both went to a high school on the south side called Mishawaka Marion. And we met because we had an art teacher who wanted us to write a song together for a songwriting competition. And so we did that. And I was probably more attracted to Jillian than she was to me in the beginning. And thank goodness the song that we wrote together was actually featured at the competition finals, which meant we had to travel together to Indianapolis to perform it. And so it was the music actually that grew first. And then from that, our relationship grew. We were probably 15 and 17 when we wrote our first song together. And then life just happened. Studied music in college, and then we got on the road as soon as college was over, and just began touring. And we were indie. I feel like before indie was a more cool term, we were just basically packing up in our car, hitting the road. And we are a married couple. We actually, our anniversary is here in August, and one of the things that we wanted to say, a little known fact, is that when we had to choose our place for our honeymoon, we chose Traverse City. So if that speaks at all to our love of Traverse City, it's a wonderful place, and we never forget driving down Front Street for the first time. And I believe, is it 131 that comes down over the hill where you see the bay for the first time?
Yes.
I think that's, yeah, I mean, it's like, boy, that was a special moment. So, so we've always had, we always say we're sweethearts from the heartland, and always have connections coming back to the Midwest. Love our roots there, and all our families there. The big families coming from, outside of Chicago. And it's been...
Well, how big are our families?
My mom comes from a family of 10. My dad comes from a family of 8. And Jillian's mom comes from a family of 10, and her dad comes from a family of 4.
They're busy. They're always busy.
It's a big family.
Sure. Big families
our
are nice.
Midwestern roots. Yep. So yeah, so that's how our music started, and then we've been on the road ever since, and moved to New York in 2014, and have spent basically 10 years on the road touring, writing, performing, and just recently I've really had a burst of momentum with our new album Mayflies, and working with a producer over in London named Matt Wiggins, and the things that we've learned and what he taught us has just been incredible. It's changed our lives. So it's a journey, that's for sure.
I'm going to ask you to play something in just a minute, but where did the name Bergamot come from?
Yeah, so we were in college together, and we just said, we got to come up with a band name. And we spent about 3.5 months going back and forth on all these horrible names that I was generally bringing to the table. And one day he came over to my apartment and was like, hey, he's like, I was just at this co-op and I bought something. I was like, what did you buy? He's like, I bought this thing. They call it like an essential oil. I was like, what's that? This is before essential oils were a craze. And he said, I bought Bergamot essential oil, and it's derived from a bergamot fruit grown in Italy. And it smells really good, and it's used to relieve stress. And I think in college we were probably pretty stressed out. We were both on Division I athletes, so we were like dabbing that stuff on. And he's like, we should name our band the Bergamot. And I was like, let me think about it, because that's what we do with everything. And 2 weeks later, we had done like a bunch of research, and we're like, this is literally perfect. It's all about inducing happiness, good vibes, all that good feel stuff. So that's what we want to do with our music, and it's worked out really well.
It's appropriate.
Yeah.
So, can you talk about your signature, Shine On?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So in college, like I said earlier, we're both Division I athletes, and we're actually both golfers, which is very difficult for people to imagine or guess. It's very rare when someone guesses that. But we had a physical fitness coach, a golf coach, an assistant coach. We also had a nutrition coach, and her name was Judy Tillapaw. And every time she'd send me an email, she'd sign off with Shine On. And I loved it. So one day I emailed her. I said, hey, Judy, how would you feel if I used your catchphrase and signed off Shine On? She's like, I'd be so happy. I'd be overjoyed. Yeah, use it. So 2006, I started using it, and it became like signature. So that's and then yours is Ever Upwards.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah.
Ever Upwards? That's nice.
Ever Upwards. Yeah. The first time I think we ever came across that was we were driving into New York, and it was one of the old vintage signs for the state of New York. And it said the Empire State Ever Upwards. And I thought that was, that just felt like, at least at that time in my life and the life that we live, it seems like that's always the push, is just to keep going. And especially in the times that we're living through right now, just keep going, keep pushing, because every challenge, every obstacle is an opportunity if you can view it as that. And somehow that, as an artist, opportunities and obstacles and challenges are kind of part of the life. I think that's on the other side of those things are sometimes the best moments, the best songs, the best stories, and so that to me, that mantra is just always about pushing on and hoping in life that you can achieve the best that you can, and that's all we can really hope for as artists, I think, for sure.
There's a question on the screen. When did you decide to become the Bergamot and really dedicate your life to this career?
Yeah, well, it's an interesting story. Music was always a part of my life. I mean, I remember playing, we were a coffee house band when I was in high school. When I was 15, before I could drive, I had to beg my mom to take me to the coffee house so I could jam with the guys growing up. And so I always knew that music was a huge part of my life. It was something that I loved to do, loved to songwrite, poetry. And so at the end of college, I was actually ready to take the CPA exam. So, I had followed all the rules and done everything that was a college athlete and ready to, to take on that next part of life. But I had always known that music was the thing that honestly I woke up every day and thought about. And so I literally had a moment where I sat down with a huge firm and we were talking, and I just realized this was not the life for me. And I knew that music was my calling, and it was something that I needed to pursue. And the skills I learned in accounting really helped, but it was probably within a week of graduating that it was like, this is the life that I'm supposed to live. We were always playing gigs together. We never stopped gigging. But I was like, I think I need to do this full time to dedicate my life to the arts. And not an easy decision, but that's kind of when the journey for me started.
Mine was similar, and in a way, I was definitely not studying accounting. I was a double major in mass media communications and interpersonal communications with a piece in conflicts minor. So very much in the opposite spectrum. But yeah, I was getting ready to graduate. Everyone was asking, okay, what are you going to do? Where are you going to work? What is it that you want to do? And all I wanted to do was I wanted to write music. I wanted to perform music. I wanted to tour on music, and I had no idea how to do that. We both had no idea. We just knew that you have to get in front. You just have to get in front of people and perform, and so we had devised a secret plan. No, we didn't tell anybody. Right after we threw our caps in the air, that we were going to hit the road, and we did that unbeknownst to our parents, to their great dismay. But we just trailblazing. We just did our own path, and we went out anyway. And we're glad we did, because it's almost 10 years later since we did our first tour. Next month marks 10 years of us doing this full time.
And I think that the key in that question for me is really dedicate. The word dedicate is a great word when you think about the arts, because it's not just a career. It's not just a 9 to 5. It's a dedication of your life to something. It's every moment. Like I said, we were chatting before about last night. During quarantine, it's been, I feel like, a marathon in ways of songwriting, where it's just every moment that, we're just dedicating to the craft. So it's a big life decision, and I think every day you got to wake up and still want to do it, because it's just so challenging. But that's the beauty of this career, is that it really is a great challenge, but in the end you get to do something that you really feel satisfied with.
Very cool. You want to play us into the next segment where we talk about what you've been up to lately?
Yes, we'd love to.
We sure will. Yeah, so this is a great little tie-in, I think, for that next segment as well. This is a song called LA, which has been our critically most successful song that we've ever released. And there's a lot of great songs about heading out west and very few about leaving. And so that's what this song's about, and we hope you enjoy it.
She left LA with a song in her head. Ellie left LA and off she went. She left for the city with the stars in her eyes. Ellie left LA and she doesn't know why, so she's moving on. By the time I write this song, she'll be gone. The kids all cry 'cause they don't understand. Ellie left LA and this was never the plan. She's hoping for a life, living out there on the road. She was hoping for something new, 'cause she was growing old, so she's moving on. By the time I write this song, she'll be gone. She'll be gone. Goodbye, LA. Goodbye, LA. Goodbye, LA. Hey, goodbye, LA. Yeah. She packed her bags and she wrote this note. Now she's gone. Now she's gone. She made her way when I wrote this song. Now she's gone. Now she's gone. Goodbye, LA. Goodbye, LA. Goodbye, LA. Hey, goodbye, LA. Yeah. I want to believe in you. I want to believe in you. Goodbye, LA. I want to believe. Goodbye, LA. I want to believe. I want to believe in you.
I have the mic. Thanks. Beautiful. Thank you.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Thank
Of
you.
course.
All right. So we're cruising in on time here. Let's go to a few questions. Tell us about the Unity Tour.
Yes.
So in 2016, we toured to all 50 states to spread a message of peace, unity, radical inclusivity for all people. And we performed 264 shows. Our car started at 260,000 miles, ended at 312,000 miles. And it was coined the Unity Car because after every single show, we invited everyone at the show, people outside, sign your message of unity on the station wagon. And this was taking place during the 2016 election year. So it was a very unique time to be touring to all 50 states intentionally. And our whole focus is we want to show people that through the power of art, through the power of music, that we can be more united than we are divided. And the things that keep us together, music, community, collaboration, are stronger than the hatred that can fill both lines of the party against each other. And we want to show people that we can be united.
Yeah, and in 2015, I think the story kind of really starts in 2015 when we were thinking about, we were out touring. We were spending basically all of our time out on the road touring and meeting people. We felt that something was going on that needed to be addressed, and we thought music is and always has been one of the greatest things to communicate messages and meanings and to go kind of where words can't. And so the Unity Collective was a chance for us to go out and meet people kind of where they're at, but also be able to share our music, and with a country that felt like it really needed some music. And I think musicians, great songs are always great stories. And great stories are made by going out into the world and being one with people and being one with the life experience. And so the Unity Collective was one part bringing people together, and then one part being able to take those moments that we've learned from people and put them into an album, put them into a song. And that's Mayflies and a song called 1 Mile on that record. About basically we learned as much from the 59,999 miles that followed from the first mile. And that is that so much of unity, so much of our lives is happening first it's happening in the mirror. It's you. It always has to come from your own heart. And then it's at your kitchen table with your family. And then it's in your home. And then it's on your street. And then it's in your neighborhood. And then it's in your city. And then it's in your state. And then it's in your country. And then hopefully your world. But it always starts with you. And it always starts around the kitchen table with family. And so we just those discoveries wouldn't have happened without a great journey of discovery, and that's what the Unity Collective was for us, to bring people together in a time when it was not the easiest time to bring people together.
I think we need you to go back out on that tour again in the next 2 months.
Yes, yeah, we said that we're open to it. We still, I feel like every day we're still recovering from
the last tour,
taking a car with 262,000 miles on a 50,000 mile journey. That could be a whole interview in and of itself, questions about the car and what happened during that time, but we would love to do that. I think the world now more than ever needs to remember that music and that truly humanity can always be the thing that lifts other people up.
And if people want to actually be a part of what we did in 2016, we are coming out with a full-length documentary. It's looking like next year. It was set to be released in 2020, but of course with everything going on, so we're pushing it back a little bit. But it's going to be called State of the Unity, and we're working with an editor right now in LA that we're really excited to be working with.
We did have some questions pop up that I saw on the bottom. One, somebody had asked, was it a Volvo? It was. It was a hand-me-down from my mom. It was a 2002 Volvo, 262,000 miles, 330, I think, is what we ended with. And it was a good car. It was an old station wagon. So I think when we pulled up to a lot of locations with signatures all over it, people kind of knew that something was going on. But yeah, that was we call it the trusty Volvo. And have you ever?
There's actually another question before those.
Oh, yeah.
There was a question about our relationship. I believe Beth. She said, "How do your surroundings and relationship influence your music and writing?" And I would say that our surroundings and environment, it really influence everything. It influences us as individual people in our growth, in our creative. Just how we create. When we take in something from an environment, whether it's something positive or something that's scary, it influences our art. And then of course, as a couple, we work very symbiotically a lot of times. We're together a ton. And so our environment really influences us as well. There were times out on the Unity tour where it was so stressful that we were both individually losing sleep. There were dangerous situations, life-threatening situations as well, where it just put a tremendous amount of pressure on our relationship. And I like to think of it as, a diamond has to have a lot of pressure go through it to make it purified and to make it sparkle. And if you can make it through difficult situations that are threatening your life together, and you can make it through on the other side, then that's how you get that diamond to sparkle through the pressure.
Yeah, and I think that with writing, music and writing, I think as an artist, you have this thing inside of you that whether you like it or not, that it just kind of, you feel and see things a little bit differently than other people. And when you see things a certain way, maybe it's not the way that everyone else is viewing it. That's where the songwriting and the music comes in, because I feel like music has always been, and songwriting is something that allows you to share with people a feeling that maybe they're having, but they don't know how to communicate. Mm-hmm. And so with songwriting, especially like being out in the desert, for example, I mean, the desert is such an interesting landscape. It's such an interesting atmosphere. So being here, for example, is a really interesting place to write, because there's sunshine all the time. There's this heat. There's all these elements that you're bringing into the music and the chords and the sway of the performance. And so there's all those elements. So it's always being influenced by each other, because we listen to the things that we write and we get be positive and supportive, but at the same time, our surroundings as well, because even the world at large is massively influencing us in our lives all the time.
Wendy said, Di, do you have another question? Or
yeah, Wendy, we'll get back to you in just a second. How did your Unity tour lead to an Emmy nomination and an award?
Yeah, that is a bizarre set of things that ended up happening. We had finished Unity Collective, and we had finished all the filming. And so we obviously had tons of footage, and we had just been off in London making our new album Mayflies with a producer named Matt Wiggins, which was an amazing experience. And when we were there, we got an email from a production team at the University of Notre Dame who produces pieces for the Grotto Network. And they said to us, hey, we kind of heard about your story and we wanted to put something together in relation to what you had done with the Unity Collective. We'd love to use some of the footage and stuff again, kind of tell your story in these little segments that we've been creating. We thought that'd be amazing. So we got back from London. I think it was like, I don't even know, 3 or 4 in the morning, woke up at 4 or 5 in the morning, and then drove from Chicago back to South Bend and created this piece. And I'll let you kind of pick it up from there. I mean, it was a crazy experience because, you know, when you jump into these things.
We were super jet lagged and not thinking anything of this piece at all. Like, we're like, oh, it'll be fun to just share with our fans. So we went with them. We went into the Children's Hospital, Memorial Children's Hospital. It's now called Beacon Children's Hospital. And part of the Unity Collective was at the end, we auctioned the Unity car off with thousands of messages of unity and donated all the proceeds to Beacon Children's Hospital to help the kids and to help their first ever music therapist beef up that program. So we went to the Children's Hospital, we filmed, they asked us questions. It was a great day. Didn't think about it again until it was done. They sent it over to us, like, this is great, love it, pushed it out. Then months later, we got a call from them. They said, hey, just want to let you know that this piece got nominated for an Emmy. And we're like, what? Really? And they're like, yeah. They're like, it's Emmy nominated. And, you know, here's the date of the actual ceremony. If you guys just want to come, we've got a table. We'd love to have you. So we're like, okay. And we were actually touring. So we flew in from Austin, Texas, and then got all glammed up, did not think it was going to win. Just thought, you know, this is a great experience. Who gets to have an Emmy nom? And then
get the photos. I mean, we were like, we're going to go get some cool pictures.
And we're sitting there at the table, and they get finally to our category, and there's 10 other pieces up. It's ours, and so not ours is, you know, us and 9 other pieces. And we were watching the pieces, and, you know, they show clips, and we're like, there's no way. The graphics and the other pieces were the productions
the other pieces were significant.
But ours won off of the story, and it was such a surreal moment. And so we all went on stage, and it was really cool. And the Emmy is located at the University of Notre Dame on display, and it says Trailblazers, the Bergamot on it, 2018.
Yeah, and and one of the things that I think is in relation to the arts and what we learned from that experience, most importantly, well, one, we learned what an Emmy is, because I'm not a big TV watcher, but, you know, I educated myself on this thing, and it was a really amazing experience. But beyond that, from the life experience, what we take away from it is all about the story. Ultimately, you have to go out there into the world and share your story. Whatever that story is, it has value in a song. It has value in art. That's why we encourage people to continue to make art along the way, because you don't know what your story ultimately is until you just keep sharing it and sharing with the world your art, and then ultimately your story will reveal itself to you. And so I think that was one of the things we learned in that experience, was just that you just keep creating art, you just keep sharing your story, and that is the journey of the artist, the goal of the artist, and we strive to do that every day.
We thank you.
Yeah, of course.
Pretty special day for you guys, huh?
Yeah, it was
Yes.
one of the most memorable moments probably in our music careers, for sure.
Yeah, definitely.
We are close to running out of time. Let's go back to Wendy's question real quick.
Yeah,
Sure.
So how have you felt connected to different communities across the country, and what is unexpected positive experience while touring?
Wow. So I would say one of the biggest things, Wendy, is we've met thousands and thousands of people across this country, and we've met people who are all walks of life, all religions, all nationalities, and also on every type of political spectrum line. You know, Republicans, Democrats, extreme, more moderate. We've hung out with all these different people, and the thing that I think is very unexpected and positive at the same time is people, when you think you have someone figured out and you think, oh yeah, they're this way, people surprise you. If you stay open and loving towards every single person, people will surprise you. And there was a situation that happened. We were on the Unity Collective tour, and we had pulled off to like a little like scenic overview stop to just get some footage. And there was a Chinese family that had come up to the car and in broken English said, well, what is this? And we said, it's the Unity car. If you'd like, we'd love to have you sign it. And they said, well, we don't really speak very good English. I said, no, sign in whatever language that you know, whatever is comfortable. So they went on one side of the car and started signing it. And at the same time, there was a trucker from Texas who walked up to the car and he said, what is this? And he said, it's the Unity car. And he said, oh, well, what's it about? And we explained what we said to you earlier. And we said, you're welcome to sign it. We'd love for you to sign it if you'd like to. It's whatever your message of unity is. And he said, I'll think about it. And he kind of walked away a little. And then he noticed the family on the other side of the car. And it was like a very interesting moment because the only thing he said was, oh, I hear you all make good Chinese food. And we're like, okay, this is interesting. I'm not sure where this is going to go. Depending on how they react, this could be really bad. And we might say, you know, but he ended up saying that. And then he said, you know what, I want to sign the car. So we gave him a Sharpie and he went on the other side. And when he finished, I have the camera. I said, well, what did you write on the car? And I said it to the family first. And in broken English, he said, good luck and safe travels. And he literally at the same time kind of panned in. And I said, well, what did you say? And he said, I wrote the exact same thing on the car. And it was one of those moments where, you know, you might think, oh, I don't know how this is going to go. But you just can't judge people so quickly. And I think that as Americans, if we can have empathy for each other off the bat instead of judging each other and pegging people in holes, we're going to progress faster and go farther as American culture. And not only as America, but as the world. If we can see people with love and empathy first, instead of judging them, then that's where I think a lot of progress and peace can happen in our world.
Yeah. And
you are spot on.
Yeah, I wanted to just touch a little bit on that and just say that, you know, as we put ourselves out into the world as artists, obviously with music and the songwriting and the art that we're doing, we're in constant contact with our fans all the day. Every single day you can join us on our live broadcasts every week. And we're always out there sharing. And I think that the world at large, people at large, I can't tell you how many times we've been out on the road and been completely exhausted or worn out and people just continue to lift us up. Mm-hmm. I mean, we're lifting up hopefully people along their journey. And I can't tell you how many people have lifted up us along our journey as well. And I wish we had more time. We could dive in. There's so many great stories from the Unity Collective and things like that. But
they can watch it in the film.
You can watch it in the film. And I think that that's, you know, the most important thing to remember is that we are here on this earth to ultimately help each other along on this path and to make our life experiences the best it can be, because ultimately we're only here for a small amount of time, which brings us to the last two things we wanted to mention. Our Mayflies album was just released. We're mid-album psyched with that. So you can stream that now on Spotify. And check out all of our music videos on YouTube. We put a lot of love into those. And we were invited to open for One Republic in April to play our first stadium show. But coronavirus has diverted those plans till later on in life. And I'm sure many people can relate with that feeling. And then the last thing we want to mention is that we have a new single coming out called Make It Last. And it's all about this idea that we are here for such a short time. But at the end, we have to give it our best, and we have to make this world last. We have to make our lives the best that it can be, because ultimately the sunshine and the sea breeze has taken care of us for so long, but maybe it's the time in this in the pendulum of life for us to start taking care of the sea breeze and the sunshine. So that's the new song coming out pretty soon. We'll make sure to post it, and yeah, it's been a great time.
You are both delightful. And I want to thank you for sharing your time today. And I think we're going to have to do this again because we didn't get through half of what we wanted to talk about today. So
we'll
do it again.
Thanks for having us.
We appreciate it.
I want to thank everybody for joining us today. Thank you too, Jillian and Nathaniel. You're going to be in Traverse City in a couple of weeks. Stay tuned. And I think on there is the thing about where you can check them out on Facebook, Instagram, Spotify, Apple Music, and Nathaniel and Jillian, play us out. Would you
Perfect.
please?
Thank you so much for having us. Let's do Make It Last.
Mhm.
All this passing life began as a mystery, like those books up on the shelf you wanna read. But I found that when you read all the pages, you'll find a story can set you free. Now I feel like I can start again. I'm feeling with my heart again. There's so much beauty in this world, just laying around. All these shells that have washed up on the beach, they are full of history for you and me. Just about 5 million years ago they fell to the bottom of the deep blue sea. It turns me on, I feel like I can start again. I'm feeling with my heart again. There's so much beauty in this world, just laying around now. Feel like I can start again. I'm feeling with my heart again. There's so much beauty in this world, just laying around now. And for such a long time, the sea breeze and the sunshine have been taking care of me. 'Cause this world is all we have, the birds and the grass. We gotta make this last. We gotta make this last. I feel like I can start again. I'm feeling with my heart again. There's so much beauty in this world, just laying around now. I feel like I can start again. I'm feeling with my heart again. There's so much beauty in this world, just laying around.
Thank you so much, Shine On, and
Never upwards, friends.
we'll see you soon. Thanks.